He's like, how do you have a 3.9 overall and a 2.9 science? How does that work? And I was just like, I have a 2.9 science? I'm thinking my science is like a 3.1. It was like a 2.9. When I tell you I was there, I was there. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Jodine, and today we're talking about my journey into dental school. Straight like that, just like that. That's what this video is all about. This video is for my pre-dents. It's for people thinking about pursuing an education in dentistry. It's for the people that are curious about the application process, the interview process. For people that's just looking outside, looking into the STEM life and like, why do these people do this? And you know, this video is for you. You know, when I was going through my journey, I always look for YouTube videos for anything that I do because I just want to see other people's experiences. And you know, looking for dental school related videos and finding people that looked like me on YouTube was kind of hard. I found a good chunk of how I got into med schools of girls that looked like me, but not a lot of dental school videos. I just wanted to add my little experience or my journey into the chunk. So if you're looking for that video, this one is for you. I'm gonna be very transparent and give you guys the rundown from my DAT score to my undergrad GPA to the interview process, X, Y, and Z. So if you want to hear about that, go ahead and stick around. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let's just get on with the video. All right, so in undergrad, I graduated in the summer of 2018. And I remember feeling like, what the heck am I going to do? Because I wasn't shadowing. I didn't put my feet I didn't know any doctors. I really didn't have that much of a connection with any teachers other than like my English teachers. Like, girl, my overall GPA versus my science GPA, just two different things. So I was a hot mess graduating undergrad. Like, I was panicking. I was like, how the heck am I going to get into dental school when I have no shadowing hours? My science GPA sucked because I failed like a couple of science classes, and I just felt so lost. I remember having this empty, like I'm falling into a black hole feeling, but then like I snapped out of it and it was like, okay, we're gonna figure this out. We're really gonna figure this out. It's crazy when I think back about it. The way life works, it's like some things are meant to happen the way that they're supposed to happen. So I ended up meeting this girl, a dental assistant. Now she's one of my closest friends. While I was working in undergrad, I used to work in retail for a very long time while I was in undergrad. And we were supposed to meet up, never did. A year later, while I'm having my crisis, my breakdown of how we're gonna get into school, she ends up texting me like in the middle of my crisis and was like, hey, I'm just thinking about you. And we had a really long conversation about how she should just pursue her career in dentistry. Like, she didn't want to be a dental assistant anymore. She wanted to be a dentist. And you know, the DAT was like a huge boulder in that. And I just gave her some encouraging words. And so she texted me in the middle of my crisis like, hey, I'm just thinking about you. I just want to tell you thank you so much for your encouraging words and for referring me to Shani, which is iPrep Dental, the class that I took to prepare for the DAT, because it's really good. And like, I just want to thank you. I'm so appreciative. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I ended up asking her, hey, are you still a dental assistant? Am I able to like come shout at your office? She's like, yeah. And she sets it up. And it's really crazy because I ended up working at the office, and like I ended up meeting two of my mentors at that office. Like, life is supposed to work the way it's supposed to work. So that's summer 2018. So at that time, I'm shadowing every Saturday, and I'm studying from Monday to Monday for the DAT using iPrep Dental videos. And I met a couple of other people, that girl that I was talking about and her other friend, and we all studied together for the DAT. So 2 months of my life was at the library studying for the DAT, and I ended up taking the DAT October of 2018, and I got these scores. I'm gonna just plop it right here. Overall, I got a 19, and I got a total science of a 19. So I'm like, okay. Just a disclaimer, if you're going to study for the DAT, I'm just gonna tell you a couple of ways that I think that I could have improved. because when I was studying for the DAT with iPrep, I was scoring like 26, 27 in the sciences. But I never sat down and did a full practice exam while I was studying for the DAT, which was my demise. I guess the pressure of being in a, like, the exam itself really just knocked me off of my balance. So even though I was doing really well with iPrep in the sciences, it didn't really translate. Well, I did good enough, but it really didn't translate as much as I wanted to. So PAT, I got a 14, did not study for PAT. I'm not even gonna cap, I did not study for it. Math, quantitative reasoning, I got an 18, studied for that for 2 weeks. Reading, I literally I probably read like 3 passages and I was like, oh, I'm good for reading, got a 19. Biology, got an 18. General chemistry, got a 21. Organic chemistry, got an 18. Total science, 19. Academic average, a 19. So please, the last 2 weeks that you're studying for the DAT, just take full-length practice exams. Practice reading for that amount of time, like sitting there in a confined space, no noise, just taking an exam for X amount of hours, including the breaks, because it will help you tremendously. I'm telling you that. So when I ended up getting a 19, I was pretty bummed, but I was like, this is like above an 18. I feel like it'll do what it has to do. This is October of 2018. So I decided not to apply that year, but that would have been class of 2023. So I decided not to apply that cycle. I applied the next cycle, and that would be class of 2024. So I retook a couple of classes because I told you I failed some science classes in undergrad. And I just tried to strengthen up my application. So I got my letter of recommendations. I was trying to really use that off time, try to build, not to stress out for an application. So by the time that I was ready to apply for class of 2024, it was just submit that day, just get it all. And that was pretty much how it was, manual. I had a couple of people read my personal statement, my mentors, some of my peers that I knew take writing seriously. I had them look at my personal statement. I had my aunt look at my personal statement. I had a bunch of people in my personal statement, and I submitted what I thought at the time was the best personal statement for me. And yeah, I just waited. This is for class of 2024, so this is in 2019. Just waiting. I had applied to Meharry Medical, applied to Howard U, I applied to Temple University, and I applied to Nova. When I tell you I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and let's pause. So pre-pandemic, Meharry throws this Impressions Day, and I feel like a lot of schools have Impressions Day. And what it is essentially is where the dental school opens up. You meet some of admissions, you meet some of the staff, you meet a lot of the dental students. They take you around the school, you do impressions, and it's essentially a networking opportunity. You basically, you parlay. You get to meet people and have them put a name to the face. And I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the sense of family within the school, and that's why I applied to Meharry. And also one of my friends, she got into the class of 2023. So I like the way she talked about the school. I really like the sense of family and how they really wanted everyone to win. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna apply to this school. So boom, I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm getting nervous because it's expensive to apply to school. I feel like for those 4 schools, I probably paid like $400. So yeah, I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting. December 2nd comes, which is National Decision Day. I hear nothing, and I'm just waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm feeling like, maybe I won't get into school. I'm like, dang. I'm thinking, I'm waiting and I'm waiting. I'm like, I got a 19. I'm a minority. These are the thoughts that are going through my mind. I'm a woman. Why is no one calling me, right? And let me just put my 2 cents in and give you advice for people who have just the amount to get in, and you're a minority. If you're one of those people, please apply to a plethora of schools. The schools up north, the schools that have less, they don't really have diversity in their programs because they're looking for the minority to bring in. So if you have a DAT score that is satisfactory 18 and above, and your GPA is but your science GPA is but it's just good enough to get you where you need to go, and you want to use that card, I would say to look into the programs that need diversity, because they will take you. So boom, just one day, I remember this day so clearly. I'm babysitting and I get an email that says, we want to interview you. And I'm like, what? And I'm actually gonna screenshot it and put it right here so you can see what the interview email looked like. January 23rd, 2020. So this is 2 months, basically. 2 months after the official decision day, I get an interview. But a lot of people do say, which is really true, Meharry takes their time when it comes to interviews. They take their time when it comes to acceptances. They take their time. So if you apply to Meharry and that's the school that you really want to go to and you don't get that decision on December 2nd, please don't be weary. They take their time. It's coming. It'll come eventually. It's coming. Yeah, I was like, oh, I gotta send a bag. I can talk. I don't got no problem talking to nobody. I don't got no problem selling myself, which is true. I don't. As you can tell, I be talking to y'all. But I be talking to y'all. I speak to you guys really easily and stuff like that. But I'm like, oh, I got this. So I'm calling everybody, I got an interview, I want to go to Meharry. Boom. So the interview comes. I end up interviewing February 21st, 2020. And I thought I did well. But I didn't do well enough, because after the interview, I was waiting and I was waiting and I was waiting and I was waiting and I was waiting, okay? Now, let's talk about the interview itself. So Meharry makes the interview they make you comfortable. They show you around, you walk around. My interview, we had to sit in a lecture. This whole school was listening to a lecture, and we had to sit in on the lecture, which was pretty cool. We ended up talking to a bunch of students and faculty. They gave us lunch. It was like they tried to make you as comfortable as possible, and they kept on expressing, we're a family. We want to see everyone here win, and if you did get this interview, that means that Meharry wants you. Some way, shape, or form, Meharry wants you. So just be yourself, do the best that you can in this interview, and you'll be fine. So I'm kind of like, but then again, I'm like, okay, Jodine, be cool. It's an interview. I had 2 different interviewers. One, the first interview I didn't want initially, because I've heard around that he was a hardball. And the second interview, I wanted because I'd spoken to her at the Impressions Day. And it was actually crazy because my interview experience with the 2 was actually flipped. Like, the guy was really chill, we had conversation, he was my good cop. The interviewer that I met previously and had been in contact with was my harder interview. And I was just like, woo, like, what? I was really confused. I remember being in the holding room and the first interviewer, coming and getting me, and I decided with him I was just going to make it a conversation. I was gonna force a conversation. Somehow, some way, I don't remember what I said, but I just was like starting a conversation, making it warm, I felt him getting comfortable enough to tell me about his daughter, X, Y, and Z. I remember him asking me, why Meharry? Why not stay in Miami? That was like a big question, like, well, you're from Miami, why move from Miami to Nashville? Why not just go to Nova? I remember him asking that, and I remember him saying that I look like a really strong applicant, but then he looks at my application and he's like, how do you have a 3.9 overall and a 2.9 science? How does that work? And I was just like, I have a 2.9 science? I'm thinking my science is like a 3.1. It was like a 2.9. When I tell you I was there, I was there. So don't come into your interview not knowing what your science GPA was. But he was like, yeah. And he was like, but I see you did well on GAT, so how does that work. So I tried to convey to him the best way that I could, that even though I did have my downfalls, I learned from it. And when I say the DAT, which was a tedious exam, I tried to give it my all, and my scores reflected it, something like that. And he was like, okay, well, I hope to, like, he basically said he wanted to see me in the upcoming fall. So I'm like, okay, that went really well, better than I expected. And he was supposed to be the hardball, so I got the next one in the bag, okay? And when I found out who my second interviewer were, I was like, oh, okay, I definitely got this in the bag, because I met her before, we had been emailing. Next interview comes and it goes pretty well. It gets disrupted. Is that the word? Is that the term? Disrupted. It was disrupted. Disturbed. We got an interruption. So there was an interruption. Somebody came and spoke to her and kind of like knocked off like 2 minutes of my interview, which is like, if you're in the momentum, if you're in that space and you're just answering questions, it's like, okay, you just go. But mine was interrupted, so I just sat there literally like this. I didn't know what to do, so I was just like this. And then she comes back, we finished the interview, and I really believe this is the demise of my interview, because I think about the day often. I think what could have went wrong, and I end up asking her this question. She says, "You have any questions for me?" And I say, yes. Is there anything that makes you apprehensive about accepting me as a student in the School of Dentistry? Something like that. And she sits there and she thinks about it. Now, this question is a really good question, so you can go ahead and use it. It's a great question that turns your weaknesses into a strength. If you answer it in a way to ease their fear, you're in the bag. But if you don't, if you can't change that thought in their head, then you messed up in asking that question. So I asked her, is there anything that makes you apprehensive in regards to my application or me as an applicant, for this upcoming class? And she thinks about it and she's like, well, your science GPA could be a little bit better. And instead of going ham like, okay, well, my science GPA is this, but as you can tell with my DAT score, which consists of multiple subjects in which I failed in undergrad, that I did well in, trying to gut her back. I didn't gut her back. I was just like, okay, that's understandable. Just dumb. That is dumb. Don't do that. Don't do that. You always turn anybody's fears about you. You pet it. You make that person feel ease. Like you make them feel at ease in regards to you in total. So boom, I'm thinking my interview went well. I didn't think of that as a defining moment. So I just brushed it off. I'm like, okay, I did well. I'm just waiting for my acceptance. Days pass by, weeks pass by, nothing. So I'm emailing admissions like every other day. I email a letter of intent to admissions. It just took forever. And then I finally get an email. I get an email, not of rejection. It didn't say that I'm sorry that I can't, we're not taking you in this class. I get an acceptance into a graduate program. Okay, I don't get a letter of denial. I just get an acceptance. Oh, your application into the graduate program has been accepted. You got a seat in the graduate program. Oh my gosh. My heart was broken, but then there was like some sunshine after the rain. So what Meharry does is they have this health science program, this graduate health science program, master's in health science program. It's a 2-semester program, 1 year. You get your master's in health sciences, an accelerated program where you're on contract. If you meet the GPA requirement for each semester and you obtain your DAT score, which is a 17 and above, I already had my DAT score, so all I needed was the GPA, then you'd be accepted into your respectable school. So in our class, we had 100 meds and people who want to go to med school, we call meds, and we had like 20 something dents. And your acceptance, your seat into the dental class was contingent on if you meet their requirements. You're on contract, so if you get the GPA that's required for dent, it was a 3.0, and then you need a 17 or above on your DAT. And then for the meds, it was a 3.5 each semester and a 5.03 on the MCAT. So it was really intense, I'm not gonna lie. It was a lot of information, but I mean, if you buckle down and you do what you gotta do, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do to get you to the seat, to where you gotta go, basically. End up getting the GPA requirements, and then, you know, the ladder, everything fell in place. So yeah, got my seat in the class. In regards to the other schools that I applied to, Temple offered me the same program that Meharry offered me, but it was gonna take a longer time. So instead of being 1 year with 2 semesters, I believe it was 1.5 years and 3 semesters, and then I applied the following cycle. Nova, didn't hear back from, I denied. And Howard, I didn't hear from them. Did I even get an email back? I didn't hear from them. If you hear noise in the background, I'm in my apartment, so like people are walking by. So yeah, I guess that's my journey in a nutshell. I hope you guys take a lot away from this. If you have any more questions or want me to do a following video and just, I guess, ask me the exact questions that you like, and I'll make another video with that. That'd be totally fine. Like, I don't know, I want to be as transparent with you guys as possible. The journey isn't easy, and I know if you're going through it, if it's like not your first round, your second round, your third round, just keep on going. If this is something that you really want to do, keep on doing it. If God put it in your heart to want to do something, definitely keep on going after it. Be steadfast, persevere, because it is hard. I'm not even gonna lie, it's hard. So be steadfast, persevere, stay strong in your faith, and know that if you're meant to do it, it's going to happen for you. It doesn't matter how long it takes. Just remember that the process for you may be delayed, but you're not denied. You will have a seat in one class one of these years. I just feel like the way things fell for me, it happened perfectly. God wanted me to meet this certain group of people. I had to be in class with these certain people. Like, it just works. Every time that I get down on myself, or I used to get down on myself because of the way things fell, I was always reminded why it had to happen like this. So yeah, that's my journey. I hope you guys took something from it. If you need anything, just let me know. Follow me on Instagram. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It's your girl Jodine B, and we're out.